Hello and welcome to Power to the People with me, Graeme Pryce. Unless you've been whacked around the bonce with a £15 lump hammer and existed solely on a diet of deep state right-wing Twitter bullshit, you won't have failed to notice that the fascists seem to be back and that Elon Musk is every bit as good a propagandist as Joseph Goebbels ever was. Those of us on the left side of history, those that will be remembered as people who didn't betray our own government, people and nation because we saw some tweets from Nigel Farage or because Uncle Frank on Facebook posted a meme about two-tier Keith Starmer. We can unfortunately expect an upturn in the incidences in which we encounter complete and utter clusterfucks of right-wing stupidity with about as much integrity and intelligence as a tree stump. You can identify these deplorable and deluded individuals by the language they use, the insults they sling at anybody who approaches them with anything that damages their precious, that hurts their little feelings. That's when they'll call you a lefty or a commie or sometimes a Marxist. Of course, they don't actually know what these words mean. They've just been told these kinds of people are their enemies and fooled into believing that you are their enemy. Therefore, you must be one, you bloody lefty Marxist commie bastard. I do know what these words mean, and I don't use words I don't know the meaning of. But I'll tell you what a Marxist is and why people saying it to me or you are fucking idiots. Right after this. Hey, sorry to interrupt me. I won't keep you long. There are 4 things that YouTube uses in its algorithms. It's whether you've liked, commented and subscribed and how long you've watched the video for. If you could do just one of those 4 things and maybe watch a little bit longer than you thought you might otherwise, it would really, really help. Thank you very much indeed. Marxism is a socio-economic and political philosophy named after the 19th century philosopher and economist Karl Marx. His work examines the historical effects of capitalism on labour and economic development, and he argued that a total revolution is needed among the workers to replace capitalism with a communist system. So as you can see, Marxism isn't a complete ideology on its own that stands alone. Rather, it's a vehicle that a particular type of activist can use to move towards a communist society. Karl Marx posited that the struggle between social classes, as he called them, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, rich people and poor people in other words, defines economic relations in a capitalist economy and will inevitably lead to a communist revolution. Well, Karl Marx has been gone a while and I don't see very many communist revolutions going on. Not successful ones anyway. While the working class is needing to rise against billionaires that piss poison into the pot of our society every single day, does sound like something I could get behind. I certainly don't think we should build a model communist society from the ashes. There are no political parties in the UK that support the creation of a communist society. Not one, not even close. We've got fascists, the far right, the far left, the further left, and some complete cock-waffling independents who don't want anything really except to just keep riding the gravy train wherever it leads. But we don't have any serious communists or Marxists. So when people with chicken nuggets and pot noodles for brains on Twitter or Facebook call you a Marxist, what they're actually doing is calling you a communist in a slightly more convoluted way. It's not because they're more intelligent, of course. These people support Nigel Froggage or Kemi Badenoch. They can't tell a trumpet from a penny whistle, but you do find ones that think they're clever and like to use the word Marxist instead of commie. As I've said before, the best way to combat these gaslit knobshafts is to pull them up on the words and terms they use. Next time you get called a Marxist for daring to say that you think ending poverty might be a good idea, or saying that you'd support free school meals or something, ask them what a Marxist is. Don't let them change the subject, because they'll reply by saying, "It's what you are, but what about Keith Starmer freezing the pensioners?" Or something like that. Don't fall for it. Insist they explain what they think a Marxist is before you let them carry on with the drivel. They don't know. They've just heard Donald Trump say it, or they've seen some twat bag on Twitter say it in a right-wing echo chamber where there was loads of fuckwits saying Angela Rayner needs to be hung for getting a free Twix from a vending machine in 2004. The fact that they say it is indicative of the fact that they don't know what it means. If somebody called you a three-legged alligator and expected you to respond by being offended, you'd probably just laugh at them and wonder if they'd ever seen a fucking alligator, let alone a disabled one, wouldn't you? Treat people who call you a Marxist the same. Just laugh at them. I think I invented a new word for people like that when I used to watch flat earth debates or debates with Holocaust deniers or young earth creationists. It's aragnorance. People who are so incredibly ignorant that they don't even comprehend how ignorant they are, yet also have staggering amounts of arrogance that allow them to think they know more than everybody else about literally every subject. We've all met them. We all know a few of them. The Reform UK is fucking full of them. Aragnorant people. Offensively arrogant while being hideously ignorant. That's what kind of person will be calling you a Marxist in the next few years. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. It's only a short one this time. I can't bear Twitter these days. The discourse is just disgusting and largely fueled by trolls, bots and far-right flop-jawed racist goons who don't even realise that that's what they've let Nigel Farage or Donald Trump turn them into. That doesn't mean we should excuse them though. Obviously the world is always going to be populated by a lot of muddle-headed simpletons that are about as sharp as a marshmallow with the critical thinking skills of a toadstool. And these people will always want to follow loudmouth bellends who make them feel special, like Trump or Farage. They are special, just not in the way that they realise. Just remember that. Speaking of which, you could make me and Air feel very special by finding the links to Patreon, PayPal and the Buy Me a Coffee page shuffling nervously in the descriptions box, along with the join button for memberships, which is, as always, down below. Now, it only remains for me to say that this obviously isn't all I have to say on this subject, but it is as much of what I've got to say as I'm going to say today. Ta-ra-la. Complete and utter cock-waffling independents that don't want anything really than to just continue riding the gravy train, no matter where it goes. So when people with chicken nuggets... Oh, God, I fucked that up.